Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Have you ever wondered what EVE Online and Minecraft would look like together if they were to be like a kind of hybrid game? Well, that is what I would say StarMade is. StarMade is a game which I have actually played a lot in the past. I've stopped playing it and there's multiple reasons for it, unfortunately. But it was an amazing game. I wanted to talk to you guys about this because I played this game from 2013 all the way up to 2017. I spent a ton of time in this game. I spent thousands and thousands of hours, and this was the game I played before I started playing EVE Online. And I would say that this, in some ways, has benefits that are even better than EVE Online, but it also has some major downsides as well. But I wanted to show you guys the positives and how this was such a great game, and also discuss a little bit about why I switched over and stopped playing it anymore. Okay, so we're here on a planet. We're here on a planet. This is my character here. Probably you guys are going to think it's a bit silly, but this is how it is. You're a blocky guy on a planet. And I think, personally, I think it's pretty cool because it enables you to render a lot of stuff when you're like pretty basic style, in the blocky style. But here you go. We're on a planet, and it's similar to Minecraft. You know, you can go around, you can mine stuff. You've got a kind of mining beam. You can see here that like you can mine stuff. So you can grab blocks, and you can even just build a house here and chill like you're on Minecraft. The way planets work in this game is that they are formed as so-called dodecahedrons, 12-sided like cubes, you could say. I think that's the case. I could be wrong in that regard, but this is one side we're on, and then you move to the next side here, and then the gravity adjusts to this side. So you can go here, and we change a little bit like that. So that's how the planets work. So it's difficult in a cube world to get like a perfect sphere. So that's why it's formed in this way. So you've got sort of like flat planes, and then you've got different planes here that sort of form a planet. And we can check this out from orbit. But we're going to just look around the planet. We've got trees here. We've got plants here. Can't do a whole lot of stuff with the plants, but they're mainly here for decoration. But you can also get a lot of valuable ores from planets. That is something that is important in this game, because the same way in EVE Online, how all the items or all the ships are made from ores, you know, like Veldspar and different materials, you can get ores from planets, and that is something that is valuable here. And you also actually get benefits of mine them for hand, so you can you got lucky you got more resources, because sometimes you can get a bit of a bonus just to sort of give you a little bit of a kickstart if you're stranded on a planet and you want to get some resources. And the way it works here is there is a crafting system. There's a crafting system where you can craft different items. I'm in creative mode now, but if we turn off creative mode, we can see that we get some block storage item. What is this? Oh, I see. It's some kind of a creative mode item that I had before. But if we go here and we mine something, so we didn't, those resources we mined before, they weren't accumulated because we're in creative mode, so it just deletes everything that we mine. But if we mine here, you can see we've got some crystals here. And then what you can do is you can go in the craft, and then craft, refine, craft basic factory. And I think you have to refine these first. So if we refine these materials here, and then it's got like these ticks that go like slowly but surely refines these materials. It's the same way in here of how you got like the Veldspar you mine, and then it reprocesses it. So this is sort of like a mini reprocessor you can have. In StarMade, you can have these big factories you can build that reprocess them a lot quicker, so they go a lot quicker than it does here. But we can see here, refine raw materials. Then we're getting these crystal composites. And then if we want to craft a basic factory, I believe we need to have two. Okay, no, we can actually have crystal composite. So if we just put some crystal composite here, we can actually craft a basic factory. So if we just get that crafting, there we go. So we don't want to craft anymore. So we've got a basic factory. And with this basic factory, this is one of those types of like blocks or factories you can use to like build and do stuff a lot quicker than building in your inventory. So we'll go here. We can actually just keep refining those crystals here, and then we can craft generic resources. That is also something that we can do. I'm not sure, this was so long, just a long time since I made this, but it seems like you can turn scrap and capsules here. There's a whole different system here. It seems very complex at first, but the same way in EVE that everything seems complex at first, it actually becomes very straightforward after you've got into it. We've got the factory here, which we can place. There we go. It needs power and needs different types of ways to keep it supplied, but the main thing is just it needs power. You create these reactors, And I think that we can create a reactor if we somehow craft basic factory, craft generic resources. I'm not sure if we can craft any power blocks here, because they're like these power blocks that you can use to power everything. Everything revolves around these reactor blocks. But I've actually got quite a few videos of this game. If you scroll back, way back in my YouTube channel, you can see in the time between 2014 to 2017, I uploaded a lot of StarMade videos around that time. So if you want to check what the stuff I did there, it was a lot of stuff I did with factions, and I thought that was really fun. That was the stuff that I really loved to do the most, to do faction stuff, because you had a group, you built your own ships, you built your own fleet, and then you sort of not really conquered territory in the sense that you have like nullsec empires. The way the map is, you see here, this is the map here. You've got a system. This is a star system that we're in. Let's see, where's the star system we're in now? I think my controls are a little bit okay, there we go. Okay, I'm just not used to these controls so much. It's such a long time since I played this. Okay, so we're in this star system here. These are star systems. Now each one of these cubes is a star system. There we go. Okay, this cube here is a star systems, and this is an entire galaxy, as you can see here. Each star system has one star. Some of them, though, they can have two. You can see this one. This is a binary star system, so it's got two suns. I can't really see it though on in the sky. So if we go here and look in the sky, can't really see two suns or two stars. There's only one. It could maybe be blocked by another part of the planet, but I'm going to see one here. But you can build ships. This is the main thing. You can build ships in this game, and you can build really big ships. You can build ships that are like a kilometer long. I've actually built many EVE Online ships here, because before I started playing EVE Online, I liked the appearance of EVE Online ships, so I built a ton of those EVE Online ships in here before I even started playing EVE Online. So I've actually built a 1-to-1 scale Apocalypse, and we're going to get into those ships that I built very soon. But I wanted to show you guys the map, how this works here, because you can find lots of different things here on the map. Unfortunately, the downside to this is, at first it seems like, whoa, there's so much stuff to explore, but a lot of this is quite much copy-paste, you could say. Now, it's very different. Every system is very different, but you've got a lot of these stations. These stations here are can many times be the same, but there's not really much to do at these stations. Like, it's not like there's much uniqueness here. They might look very different, like some station will look completely different to another, have different types of personalities and how they look like. We can we can check them out later, but there's not really a whole lot of stuff to do. That's one thing that is a big downside to this game. But you can see that there's lots of different stars. There's red stars, there's white stars. The red ones are a little bit different properties than the white ones. The red ones are a bit bigger, so they make it so that you take heat damage when getting too close to them easier. So when you're in white stars, and blue stars I think are smaller than red stars, but the thing is, when you do get close, they're a lot hotter, so that you take a ton more heat damage from these guys. Then you've got some of these wormholes here. You can see these wormholes. These teleport you to a different wormhole somewhere, so you can use them sort of as fast travel around the galaxy. And then you can see that there's different factions here that are like conquering systems. So these are certain NPC factions, but then when it comes to multiplayer, you get your own factions that conquer territory, but there's not really so much benefit. Like, say you conquer lots of territory, you don't have much benefit to having tons of territory conquered. There's not really a whole lot of, you could say that in this game, the gameplay elements are not too established the same way as maybe EVE Online is. But the thing that I loved about multiplayer in this game was that you could have really a lot of faction drama. You could have a lot of conflicts. You can still, even if there's not a whole lot of stuff to fight over, groups could still dislike each other and have fleet battles. And fleet battles, oof, that was the stuff I loved most in this game. So you can see here, we've got a small ship. This is a ship I built a long time ago, like everything else that we'll check out a long time ago. But this is a ship called the Turtle. It is actually looking maybe quite big compared to my character, but this is in fact a very tiny ship, a very, very tiny ship. You can see it's made out of blocks, but different types of shaped blocks. There are many games that exist now, such as Starship Evo. That is another block building game, and that has a lot more, you could say, well-established block building system. You could get a lot bigger shapes. It's a lot more optimized in this game. Starship Evo is a lot newer, so I never really played that game. the same extent that StarMade was, because that's what I played. And then there's also in Starship Evo, there's not the multiplayer the same way there is. Oh, that's a nice sound. They didn't used to have sounds indoors. The Starship Evo is another game that doesn't have multiplayer the same way StarMade does, so that's why I never really got into that. But I think that in the future I might play Starship Evo, because it seems to be a very fun game in terms of its building capabilities. You can build a lot more than this. But enough with Starship Evo. We're back to StarMade here with sounds made by doors, this is something that feels very strange to me, because I'm never used to hearing doors make any sounds. They never used to make sounds before. But you can still customize your ship a lot. There's so much stuff you can do. You can see my character is a little bit bent here, so I want to align to my ship here. Like I use the gravity module, so you can see I'm more aligned here. You can see I switch the gravity field up there in the top left. Okay, so this is more of a passenger quarters I made. You can sit on these wedges here. You can see you can sit down there. And then there's some windows you can't really see a lot because there's a big motor blocking or engine blocking the windows, but I thought I was make some windows here which I can look outside of. And then we can go down here to another passenger section here that is on the lower quarters, and you can see a little bit more. That engine is not blocking as much but it's still not maybe the best view, but it's some passenger quarters. And you can also look into the rest of the ship by opening these doors here, so you can get a bit of a lesser claustrophobic experience. Okay, but those are the passenger quarters we've got, and then we've got the cargo hold here, which is just a bunch of storages which you can dump stuff in. They are made so that they're like relatively small storages, but a lot of them, so you could actually divide up a lot of storages, so you could have a lot of different passengers here having lots of different items in separate storages, so they can have a little bit more privacy here. Otherwise you could have one storage that is a really big capacity, and the thing that determines how much capacity storage has is how many blocks is sort of like linked to it. So you can see if I select this storage block, it's linked to all these this cargo modules here. So I could instead just have one that's linked to so many cargo modules. But we've got lots of privacy here in the turtle ship that I've got. And this is the cockpit. Now the cockpit doesn't have to have as many computers and modules here. I like to just put all these computers and modules here to give it the appearance that this is the cockpit. Otherwise, really, the only thing you need to be able to enter a ship is this ship core here. Ship core is the center of the ship. It's where you enter to go and pilot the ship, and all this other stuff is more just for appearance. But many of these modules do have actually functions, such as this radar jammer. This makes so that my ship can like reduce its ability to be seen in this radar with the signature, because you can see stuff here. Like I can see this planet and my ship. If I use the radar jammer, my ship can't be seen on the radar here. So it uses a lot of power, but that is just, there's also a lot of functions. This is the warp drive here, but I put it here just because I think it's cool to be able to see all the computers near the cockpit, just for aesthetical reasons. But they do have actually some function here. So we'll enter the ship core, okay, and we can zoom out to see what our entire ship look like. We're a little bit upside down because the planet is a bit upside down, but this is our ship here. We can't really see much because it's also quite dark, since the sun is, or the star is giving light to the opposite end of the planet. But you can see a bit better what the planet looks like here. We might want to take off here, and if we can go here, and we can actually change the view a little bit. If we go and zoom back in so we can see a bit better through the cockpit, we can take off. And we can take off. This is what it looks like when you're taking off. There's not really much fancy going on here, but this is what our planet looks like in StarMade. It looks like a dodecahedron, as they say here. I think it is 12 sides. But this is what our planet looks like. We were on one of the sides. There are many sides here, and you can build on them, and you can build a house, you can build a base. There's a lot of stuff you can build here. The big downside, though, is that there was not much purpose to these bases. The bases basically is just a place to craft stuff and to store your items, and maybe dock some ships. But the thing is, there was not really much strategic importance of having a base, in the same way that maybe you would have benefits to your corporation or faction, the same way sometimes conquering space in EVE Online can be very beneficial. Unfortunately, what happened in StarMade is that the developer a lot of financial issues, and also made a lot of updates that really weren't really admired by the community, including me, where they changed a lot of the ways systems worked in ships, because all these ships here, they're made of systems. They have got different types of modules inside of them, such as the ones I showed you before, such as that radar jammer. But another big one are these weapons here. You can see we've got a tiny little beam laser here, and we'll give that a little check here. There we go. Okay, beam laser. You can see a tiny little beam laser. If we go a little bit closer, you can see some damage that it does to the planet. It's hard to see with. Oh no, I'm being pulled in by the gravity. Good thing that there's no collision damage in this game, because the thing is, collision damage there is a way to turn it on, but it causes so much lag, so that's why it's turned off by default. You can see here, you've got a beam laser. It's able to do a bit of damage. You've got the radar jammer, able to be turned on. And then there's warp drive, which you actually can charge here. We can also dock here with this docking beam. But the main thing is the weapon here is the beam laser. Tiny little beam laser. You can see we do a little bit of damage here. You can actually also put salvage beams on your ship, so you can actually mine from your ship as well. And that's mining a lot quicker as mining for a player. Okay, but back to how StarMade was going, is that there were a lot of developer choices where they completely revamped the systems, and it just was in a way that I think the way they changed it was that it was good. They made it so that the systems were maybe a little bit more intuitive, but they also made them at the same time a little bit less intuitive. And the point is, it made it so that everyone had to redo their entire ships. They had to rebuild all their ships, and a lot of people were put off by this, combined with the fact that there were very little, so you could say, content updates being made. As you can tell by now that I'm mentioning a lot, that there's a lot less gameplay oriented updates being made. That, combined with just in general that this game had a lower player base, made it so that this game eventually sort of just dwindled away in terms of its popularity. But another big reason that it also the development really came to an almost complete halt is that the developer also had some financial issues due to them having some lawsuit, and it had to do with some guy, I think, stealing money from the team. So they were actually able to theoretically keep developing the game for many years, but then there was some guy who stole a lot of money from them, and that caused them to also not be able to continue to develop to the same degree that they wanted to. So it ended up being just a single guy, the guy called Schema, developing, and he was having trouble just financing himself through the game, which is understandable when there's so few people playing this game, because at the peak times where I thought that this game was really good, that it felt good to play, was when the most popular server had 40 to 50 players on it. That sounds really tiny, like what the heck, 40, 50 players, but it actually felt quite good. 40 to 50 players, you could have a ton of stuff going on. You could maybe have 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 factions depending on the site. A typical faction maybe have 4 or 5 players. That felt like, oh, there's a lot of people on. Because you could do a lot of stuff. You could command fleets, you could have big ships, you can still do a lot of stuff that the universe is not as massive as EVE Online. So I liked to be able to have 40 to 50 players on it. But thing is, then it came to a point where the max server had like 2-3 players. Like, you can't do anything there in terms of multiplayer. So the main people who still play this game are people who like to build in single player. Otherwise, in terms of people like me who love to play multiplayer, that stuff was not something that I was really fond of. It's not really much fun to be had there. I may as well just play single player, to be honest. But we can go here, we can check out some of these stations, we can like admin warp, but we can also, I can show you how the warp drive works as well. It's pretty much the same. It's just like a teleport. We can plot a path to one of these. If we go here to, if we center on our own position, and then we plot a path, and then you can see there's a station here. So you can have very unique stations you can encounter around in StarMade. So there's not at all like lack of vibrancy in terms of the aesthetic. It's a bit like EVE Online in some ways, that there's a lot of aesthetic stuff, or like stuff that looks good, but maybe a little bit less in terms of the actual content. And that is something that I find to be a lot of lacking in the games that I've had a lot of interest through in my life. It's a bit unfortunate. You can see that there's some turrets here that are aiming towards us. For some reason they can't shoot, and I think the reason that they can't shoot is because this station existed before all these system changes which I was talking about, and they made it so that they're not able to shoot because they don't have any power. So I think we're able to just kill them straight away because they don't have any shield capacity, because you can actually have shields in this game. Yep, they're getting wrecked. You can see that guy, he is destroyed there. They don't seem to have any indicator that they're destroyed because I have a filter here for turrets. See that? He's overheating. So we just have to just keep shooting him. And then when they lose a certain amount of blocks, then they go and overheat it. It means basically that the ship is destroyed. And if you're personally in the ship while something gets overheated, you will die and respawn at a respawn point. Okay, well, we can charge the warp drive. It takes a bit of time to charge. Depending on how you build the warp drive, it can be very big and you'll charge faster, consume more power, but it'll also be able to charge a bit faster as well. Depending on how you build the warp drive, you can actually make it like a lot bigger, but then it'll be charging a lot faster, but it'll also take a lot more space. It'll consume a lot more power. So there's downsides to all of it. The thing I loved about this game, and something that I still think that is quite a bit better than EVE Online, is how you can customize your ships. You can never customize your ships the way you can in this game, in EVE Online, as you can in this game. Here you can really make your own style of ships. You can make your whole style of systems, like your whole fleet is missile based, and just missile based, like long range missile based. We are a corporation that focuses heavily on having good warp drive and stuff like that. I love the customizability. I love the customization you can do in this game, which you can't do in EVE Online, and it's a bit unfortunate. But this new game that I'm talking about, Starship Evo, has a lot of potential to be able to be a new game like this that I might play. Okay, so we use the warp drive. You can see we just warped there, nothing like crazy. There's a shop here. Shops are very basic. They might sound, ooh, you can see a shop here, we might do some trading here. There's nothing particularly crazy about a shop. The shops, they're just items or stations even that you travel to, and you can buy and sell some items, which is really all you need. But the thing is, there's not really much vibrancy to them either. They have a certain amount of credits, and they have a certain amount of items, and you can buy and sell stuff there, but they're just scattered all over the place, and they have a certain limited amount of credits, so it's very difficult to sort of get a good fully working economy going on, because it's just a bit random. Like, they randomly get more items, they randomly and then they have a certain amount of credits. Like, multiplayer was never really able to establish a proper economy. They were able to make player shops where you have stations and players sell stuff, and that I think would have been something that would have been amazing. The only issue is when the developers of this game enabled player shops, that was already too late. That was when the player population became so low, and you can't really have player shops when you're having like 2-3 players on a server. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have a full-on monopoly with some guy just selling a bunch of stuff, and it's not really going to be worth it. You may as well go to these random RNG shops here, which sell random stuff for random prices for random amounts of credits. And I mean, it's not completely random. There's still a set amount of credits usually per item, with a bit of plus and minus percentage points, but it's not like an economy the same way you would have in EVE Online, like with Jita Trade Hub, like trying to undercut people. That stuff does not exist here. And it's a bit unfortunate, because I definitely think they could have done that, but it's a lot to do with the fact that there's very little players playing this game. But you can see here, this is a shop. We've got it selected, that's why it's a bit highlighted here, but this is what it looks like. It's a very basic, just long beam here. If we can go here, press B, we can buy some items. You can see it's got 10 million credits. That's where all these stations or these shops start at, 10 million credits. So you can buy and sell stuff here. The certain amount of credits, it's just, you can think of it in EVE Online terms, it's just there's a limited amount of NPC buy orders, and that is it. But on everything, not just like a few selected items, where everything is an NPC buy order with a limited amount of supply. So there's not really going to end up being a proper economy going on. But it was fun. It was fun while it lasted. That is StarMade here. You know what? I have to actually go to some family stuff going on right now. But next time, you know what? I'm going to show you guys some of my EVE Online ships. And to give you a little bit of a spoiler here, we'll go here and spawn in the Crucifier. I love to make these in the kind of color scheme, as you can tell by how I talk about the color schemes in EVE Online. And I made this in then the grey and black color scheme. And you have to remember that I made these ships before I even started playing EVE Online. Like to look at them in the game. I never really played EVE Online. I just love the look of these ships. That's the only reason I played them or built them. And you can see here, this ship is quite a bit bigger than our little turtle here. So this is what a ship could look like. The Crucifier, Canada edition. And we're going to go over all the ships next time in a big full fleet style fashion. That is StarMade, a long lost game of mine that I love so much. I still like it, but it's just not fun to play anymore the same way it was before, just due to the lack of people playing this game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.